There comes a moment when the quiet path through life splits in two, one wide, filled with comfort and noise, and the other narrow, silent, and steep. It's in that silence that the soul begins to see what the eyes never could. For in every generation, there is a hidden separation, a moment when the narrow path becomes clear, and the heart must decide which voice to follow. The days of Noah were loud. The earth buzzed with invention, laughter, trade, and endless noise. People built cities, gathered in great feasts, and mocked the strange man who was building something no one had ever seen, an ark in the middle of dry land. They said he was mad. They said the world had always been this way, and always would be. But while the laughter echoed across the valleys, the sky above grew heavier each day, waiting. The line between wisdom and foolishness was invisible then, until the first drop of rain fell. That was the moment the narrow path became clear. The hidden separation isn't just a story of the past. It's happening now, quietly, invisibly, within hearts, within choices. The line between those who walk by faith and those who walk by sight has always been drawn, not by religion or appearance, but by surrender. Few notice it because the world trains us to see comfort as blessing and struggle as failure. Yet, in the kingdom of heaven, the reverse is often true. Some of the most blessed souls walk through deserts, unseen and uncelebrated, while others dance in palaces built on sand. But the storm always reveals the foundation. When Jesus walked among the crowds, people followed him for many reasons. Some wanted healing, some wanted bread, some wanted power, but a few, just a few, wanted him. One day, as the crowd swelled, he spoke words that split the multitudes like a sword through fog. "Whoever does not take up his cross and follow me cannot be my disciple." And many turned back. That was the moment the narrow path became clear. The separation didn't come with thunder or fire. It came quietly, through words of truth that pierced the heart and demanded a decision. Even today, the same voice still whispers, not from the mountaintop, but within the conscience. Will you still follow when the world walks away? But few understood what came next. For the narrow path isn't simply about moral restraint or discipline. It's about the unveiling of love. A love that demands nothing yet gives everything. A love that is willing to be misunderstood, rejected, and even crucified just to rescue the one who wandered. The path of Christ is narrow because love is rare. In a world built on pride, love walks low. In a world chasing crowns, love carries a cross. And that's where the separation deepens, not between rich and poor, religious or secular, but between those who live for self and those who die to self. In every age, God allows seasons of shaking not to destroy, but to reveal. When the ground trembles, when comfort collapses, when silence replaces applause, something happens. The masks fall. People begin to see what they truly built their lives upon. It's then that faith either withers or awakens. And maybe that's our own hidden battle. The unseen moment when the world's noise fades and our spirit must answer, "Whom do I trust now?" Because faith isn't proven in comfort. It's revealed in the storm. Centuries ago, Lot's family fled the burning city of Sodom. Behind them, everything familiar vanished in smoke. Ahead of them, only the mountains and the unknown. But one woman, Lot's wife, looked back, and that single glance became her last. The separation wasn't between the righteous and the wicked. It was between those who could let go and those who couldn't. The narrow path demands release. To walk forward with God, we must loosen our grip on what once defined us. Our pride, our titles, even our own understanding. Because sometimes the Lord will strip away every illusion just to show us that He was the only constant all along. But few understood what came next. The disciples once walked proudly beside Jesus, certain they'd remain faithful to the end. But when the cross appeared, when the crowd turned, fear tore through them. Peter, the boldest of all, swore he'd never deny his Lord. Yet before the dawn, he had done it 3 times. And when his eyes met Jesus across the courtyard, the world stood still. That was the narrow path becoming clear, not through glory, but through brokenness. Because the separation often happens not when we stand tall, but when we fall and realize who we are without grace. And in that broken moment, Peter wept, not from shame, but awakening. That's the beginning of every true disciple's journey, when pride dies and dependence begins. Today, we live in a world that praises visibility but forgets virtue. Everyone wants to be seen, but few want to be sanctified. Everyone wants to speak truth, but few want to live it when it costs something. The narrow path doesn't always look holy. Sometimes it looks lonely. Sometimes it means walking away from what everyone else celebrates. But here's the hidden truth. What looks like loss in the eyes of men often looks like loyalty in the eyes of heaven. Every soul will one day face a moment of revelation, when the noise fades, when the lights go dim, when only truth remains. In that silence, all masks fall. Titles vanish. Opinions dissolve. And the only thing left standing is what was built upon the rock. That's when the separation becomes unmistakable. Not because God divides out of cruelty, but because love must clarify. The same sun that melts the wax hardens the clay. The same truth that saves the humble condemns the proud. And maybe that's why Jesus said, "Enter through the narrow gate, because the wide road asks for nothing but costs everything. And the narrow road asks for everything but gives eternity." One day, when all is quiet and the dust of history settles, the narrow path will no longer seem narrow. It will be the only one left standing. Until then, the separation continues, not to condemn, but to awaken. For when the narrow path becomes clear, the wise will see what the world ignored, that the way of life was never crowded, only sacred.